a view.
This is incredible.
An Ontario County nonprofit.
Overlook Horizon high-altitude balloons.
3, 2, 1, launch.
Hey guys, Tor here from Overlook Horizon. We're back again. We just saw you guys yesterday. Today is Monday, August 3rd. Let me see if I can get the date right correct, or the date correct today. I'm already off to a good start. August 3rd, 7:40 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:40 Central. Why do you say Central? Because that's where the Starship is. And that's what we're watching today. There's the SpaceX SN5 Starship, which is SpaceX's prototype development vehicle, the next rocket that they are trying to develop to send astronauts to the moon and to Mars. And it is going to try its first test flight. So if you remember, we had a test flight of the Starhopper platform, which was the little sibling, the precursor, which is actually right over here in Lab Padre's stream here. So we've got a couple different views here. This is Lab Padre's that I've currently got pulled up, but we'll probably bounce around and take a look at all of them here. You can't really, this is South Padre. This is, it's tough to see that one there. And then I also had this one up, but I was actually having trouble with this one. Right as I went live, I had too many streams going, and my connection was saying, this is too much. This is too much at one time. So hopefully the stream keeps it together. But we'll keep the Lab Padre one up because this one is awesome looking. So send some love to Lab Padre for being down in this area to be able to provide some amazing footage. And if you don't care about me and you just want to watch the footage directly, he's streaming this live on YouTube as well. So you can head over and watch Lab Padre's stream without me if you prefer to just see that. So what we're looking at, sir, this is going to be a test flight. Remember, I say it a million times today, test flight, not operational. The whole thing could go kaboom. We don't know. We hope not, but the whole thing could go kaboom. It's happened many times already. This is normally the kind of thing that would happen behind the scenes that wouldn't be publicized, and all this sort of testing would go through without us knowing about it. But SpaceX is pretty wide open, and we get to see all this happen. So as of right now, the last thing we heard, Elon Musk tweeted about 15 or so minutes ago, and he said it was going to be in about 30 minutes to the hop. So we're expecting the hop somewhere in about roughly 12 minutes or so. We've got some venting happening. The tank farm's been pressurized. You can see all the venting coming off the side of the Starship there. And I think I have sound maybe. No, there's some talking there, so I'm gonna talk over it here so I can provide you that commentary, and then hopefully we can hear some of it a little bit later. But yeah, this is testing that we're seeing right here. They're loading fuels into it, and this will, music got loud all of a sudden again. This will perform a test flight up to 150 meters. So it'll go up and it'll translate to the side, and it's going to land off to, I think it's off towards Starhopper. Am I right on that? I get turned around in this. We can look at a map here in just a minute, but let me say hi to everybody here. Hey, GVA Morning Show, thanks for the super chat. He says, "Aye, he's live." I'm back. We're back. You can't get rid of me that easily. Weekend Astronaut. Hi. Hello. Adrian, hi. Come on, Tori. What is this, Jeff? Test flight. This is space rocket testing, which is how often you get to see this. This is kind of cool because these are the ones that if it goes kaboom, you're like, that's a shame, but that was cool to see. I mean, we hope that it doesn't go kaboom, but if it does, no big deal. They're learning. They're moving on. What else do we have here in the comments that I missed? Mac loved you on Stardom the other day. Stardom was, it's another YouTube channel. I think he was also live on Twitch and Facebook and everything else that I jumped in on a panel over on the Stardom channel. So I'm glad you liked it, Mac. Thanks for saying hi. Space Nerd, hi Tori. This is going to be unbelievable history happening right in front of us. This is a busy week for spaceflight. No, we had Perseverance, we got Crew Dragon, Undock, and Splashdown. We've got Starship Hops. So we got a lot going on this week. This is a busy week. And luckily, the boats won't affect us today. If you saw, I put a new video out just a short while ago about the boats yesterday because it drove me crazy. But the boats can't hurt us today. Do you think we'll see an orbital flight in 2021? You know, it's kind of a tough thing to say. Like, I pay attention to the Starship developments because they're kind of cool, but I'm not that close to it. So, we haven't had the siren yet here. I gotta try to keep this I gotta pay attention here to the counter. But what I was saying is I don't pay that close of attention to the Starship developments where I'm watching like every single panel go on, but I do find it super fascinating. So I guess the question that I would have is just for flying in 2021, you know, when would it slow down? Like, is this breakneck pace because they want to try to get to orbit? Are they just trying to get to an operational vehicle? Or is this just going to be the pace throughout? That's kind of the question that I would have. I mean, it does seem like they've been going at a fast pace. And if SN5 hops today and it does well, I think today would be a big indicator of whether they'll actually go orbital in 2021. If it hops today and it does well and they can move, continue moving forward, then we got a chance to go orbital in 2021. If you get depends on any sort of anomaly that happens. If you get a huge anomaly, then that's probably not good news for 2021. But if you get, does most of the flight but has something minor, we could still be on track. We'll see. Your guess is as good as mine, to be honest. What is the smoke? That is venting. It's essentially super chilled liquid fuels that they're venting out the side. So they're super densified. The same thing as Falcon 9. Super densified liquid fuels that are very, very, very cold. That's why they're very dense, because they're very cold and in liquid form. But as they heat up, they turn back into gaseous form and they expand and they have to vent it during the process. Well, it seems like a lot of venting going on. Oh, we got a siren, apparently. That would mean we're 10 minutes away. Let me adjust. Here's the siren. Can you hear it?
It's always discolored now. That kind of throws people off sometimes.
Yeah, it's a trick.
There's the siren.
I missed the history in this. When this was first deployed, was it discolored?
So the siren, for those of you that have not been paying attention, the siren means that we're about 10 minutes away. 10 minutes away would be the siren. Oh, hold on. I got too many streams in my ears. Hold on. I got too many video feeds. Give me a second. Let me you guys hang out here, and I got so many feeds. I'm trying to make sure that we have one that's decent here, but I don't want the audio to be too crazy loud. And actually, I'm going to turn down the music quite a bit. Okay. So the good news, did I screw up the clock already? What happened to my clock? We want... I'm 10 minutes right here. This is what we want. 58. There we go. And it looks like, actually, they're saying, so this is going to be NASA spaceflight stream. I'm trying to sync up my counter with what they have here. So they're predicting somewhere in this neighborhood. So these are all estimates time-wise. Like, nope, we have no idea. But the biggest indicator is that siren. That siren's the biggest indicator because that is a 10-minute warning to all the local residents that it's about to go down. Because remember, there are local residents that are very, very close. Not too many that are left because they've been buying out the properties, but there are local residents that are very close to this rocket here. So they have to be proactive and let the residents know that they're about to fire the engine, and that's what that siren is for. There is no payload here. No payload on it. It's really, there's a mass simulator. You can see up at the very top, there's a mass simulator for the nose cone section. There's no nose cone. It's just a giant flying grain silo, essentially. But there is that white block up on top is a mass simulator. So, yeah, it's very strange looking because it's not your typical rocket. There are landing legs on it, this is one of the things that's really kind of odd and awkward about this, is that it looks like there's no legs on it. But if you look at the close-up view, you're not going to see any legs, but they are tucked up underneath there. It's kind of a skirt. And actually, the engine, the Raptor engine, most advanced rocket engine ever built, and that is up underneath the rocket there. There's a skirt section that you can't see the engine. There are also legs tucked in there. They would be, I forget whether they're going to be hydraulic or fold out. Does anybody know the answer to that? See, this is why I haven't been paying that close of attention. I just know they're tucked under there. Let's see what else we've got that we missed. Seems like a lot of wasted fuel, but what do I know? Yeah, it happens on every launch. It's just the way they have to do it. At the end of the day, there's really no other way to do it. I mean, you can cover it in insulation, but that gets heavy. You know, it's actually less expensive just to vent off some of that fuel and include it in part of your cost. Looks like a King Kong size water heater. Yeah, right. It does look kind of crazy. And I don't believe there's an official SpaceX stream going on. If anybody sees an official SpaceX stream, you'll have to let me know, because I would love to see some official camera angles from this, but it sounds like there is not going to be one. Sounds like an ambulance. Yeah, that's the siren going off. Yeah, and Fritz46 brings up a good point. People, when that siren goes off, people are supposed to leave their homes, because if it were to explode, they could have some sort of overpressurization event. You could get a massive pressure wave that could break all the windows in the town right there in Boca Chica village. Could break all the windows, throw shattered glass into your house and any of that kind of stuff. So it would be kind of crazy. But yeah, when they hear the siren, they're supposed to go outside of their homes and wait, which is kind of crazy because a lot of times these flight tests or static fire tests happen in the middle of the night. So like, what are you supposed to do if you live there? Like if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and they're like, woo, woo, like you're supposed to just be like, all right, I guess we're going outside. I imagine most of the people are like, oh, there's that stupid siren again. Yeah, and it's less than 10 minutes when the siren goes off, which was about 8 minutes ago or so. So we should be about 2 minutes away if they go for it. And we'll see. I may turn up, I've got this stream from nasaspaceflight.com. And show them some love as well. I may turn up the volume on their stream when we get a little bit closer. They're talking right now. They're kind of just chatting it up like we are here. Yeah, and this is a different fueled rocket. This is methalox, meaning methane and oxygen, versus the Falcon 9 rocket, which is rocket-grade kerosene and liquid oxygen. A little bit different. And the idea there is you can easily make methane on Mars, or relatively easily make methane on Mars versus kerosene. A little bit harder to do. But you could make methane on Mars, and so when this thing lands on Mars, it's in the distant future, you could have a fuel farm on Mars that was making your methane, making your liquid oxygen. That's one of the things the Perseverance rover is going to do while it's there, is try to make oxygen out of the carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide air. And so you could make oxygen, make methane, and then instead of bringing all the fuel that you need to come home with, you could just make it there and then come home. And I think the math is you would need like 12 starships worth of fuel, like you'd have to fly 12 starships and with a little bit of extra fuel, and then you'd have enough to fly one starship back if you were trying to bring all the fuel with you. So that's why it's no good. All right, I got NASA Spaceflight's volume up here now so you guys can hear it. I'm going to turn the music down because we should be very close, within seconds here.
Again, we've removed the countdown timer because we do not know the exact time.
We're not, that's,
that we can listen into here.
Das! Got an awesome Twitch channel. He's kind of hosting the NASAspaceflight.com stream here as well. They also have a YouTube channel. It'll be a cool thing to check out if you're not following them as well. What do they want to test with this jump? This is a flight test, so they're testing maneuverability, testing the engine gimbaling, trying to make sure that the tanks hold under pressure. Because remember, this is very, very thin stainless steel that they built this rocket with. Super thin, and the pressurization, it's very high pressure fuels on the inside. You got a lot of torque happening with the engine. You got a whole bunch of stuff to factor in, so... All right, so we're over my countdown, and it should be, we should be getting very close. We don't know. We don't know. We're just waiting to see.
All right, if you're wondering what's
waiting to see what happens here. Should be any second. I keep kind of resetting the clock just to give anybody jumping in late here to give you an idea that we're not there yet. But we really have, this is like it's public viewing, but we really have no idea when it's going to happen. Like, we kind of just have to wait and see, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you see the venting trailing off there. That's a good sign. Usually they're starting to, that would usually be like fuel closeout when they start to taper down the venting. So, and they're going to be very cautious about this because it takes a lot of work to put all this together, and they really don't want a kaboom, but they could get one. Now today they have the opportunity to launch their warning window that they put out for all their... Oh, the hop attempt has been aborted, it looks like. So it sounds like we've got an... So this would be a hold, because we could potentially... They have about 1 hour left, which is what I was about to say, is they've got about 1 hour left that they could attempt it again. So that's going to be the big question here now, is going to be, can they do it? Can they do it again here? Let's see. What do I want to update my clock to? Go like this here. So this is the NOTAM window, goes until 8 p.m. Central, which would be 9 p.m. Eastern. So they have about 1 hour left in their window for today. If they do not launch today or perform the flight test today, they would have another opportunity tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. We'll turn up the volume on the music here a little bit, because it doesn't look like we're getting a hop in. Did we get any sort of updates from Elon by any chance? Anybody seen any Elon updates? Somebody replaced the launch button for an easy button. Yeah. Let's see. Is this happening now? Yes, this is now in Boca Chica, Texas. Yeah, it looks like detanking. Yeah, it does look like they're detanking, which would be a... And they were targeting a few minutes ago. So their immediate attempt has definitely been aborted. They're going to be cautious, and they're not going to risk anything if they don't have to. Just trying to see if there was any sort of updates, which I don't see at the moment. So we would have another siren if they're going to go again, and we would also see venting start up again. I mean, there is some venting right now, but it looked like they were detanking. So this is the hardest part. This is the hardest part with Starship, which is why I didn't go live until so late, because you just never know. You never know. Oh, look, is that a drone right there? It is a drone. That's a huge drone. Look at that. That's a big guy. Wonder if that's a SpaceX drone. So let's check out Lab Padre's stream here. We can get a little closer view. Kind of see what's happening there. We've got no activity with the Raptor engine, obviously. Just a little bit of venting on the side, and you can actually see a lot of. Well, you can't see it because I'm in the way. Let me get the events list out of the way. You can see the little bit of venting here in the tank farm area as well. You need a clock with question marks, but rotating question marks. I know, I was trying to... It's actually what I was doing earlier this morning. I was trying to adjust my countdown clock, because all those events on the side, they update automatically. Like, I'm trying to get it to the point where I can control that a little easier. That's a custom thing that I designed and coded myself. So I'm trying to get it so that I can actually use my stream decks here to control it. But I'm not at that point yet. How many minutes left? We don't know. Yeah, this is Lab Padre here, right here. So show Lab Padre some love. We got Lab Padre up. We've got NASAspaceflight.com. We've got South Padre right here. You can get an idea. The Starship is here, and it's going to land over here near the Starhopper. Jennifer, hello from Oswego. Hello, Oswego. Right around the corner from me. Not too bad. I mean, I guess it's like an hour and a half drive from where I am. Houston, we've got an issue. Yeah, that's the trouble. I mean, we're watching development here. So, it's always up in the air. No announcement yet on Twitter, so we haven't seen anything. The last we heard was from Elon. I guess, actually, the last we heard was the siren that happened at about 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes ago was the 10-minute warning siren. Obviously, it has not launched yet. So we've got some sort of hold, possibly an entire abort, but we're kind of waiting to see if they're going to recycle and try again. We don't know. And no updates that I've seen on Twitter at all. Try to keep an eye. That's the best way to keep an eye on it, really, is see if Elon puts something out on Twitter. Yeah, Brian says we'll be launching in a minute as soon as we get that super glue to dry. Yeah. Yeah, the surprising thing is, like, it does look like it's just thrown together, but it's actually very, like, it's crafted very meticulously. And I imagine as they develop it and they get further, I mean, they're just making so many changes with it, and they're changing so much that, like, you can't really invest in precision machinery that's going to do it perfectly if you don't even know what perfectly is yet. I mean, they're designing it and they're like, yeah, let's change that. That didn't work so well. We'll do something else. And then they'll do it again. And so you don't really want to invest in precision machinery when you're in that process. This grain silo is the most advanced one going. Definitely. This is a very advanced grain silo right here. Most advanced grain silo you'll find. Where in Florida? No, this is Boca Chica, Texas. Boca Chica, Texas, which actually just had the hurricane come through. I forget, what hurricane was that? It's not Isaias. I've been saying that wrong all along. Why didn't you guys correct me, by the way, the other day when I was saying Hurricane Isaias? It's like Isaias or something like that. I still can't pronounce it correctly, but I was definitely wrong the other day, and nobody corrected me. I'm mad at all of you for not correcting how I pronounce Tropical Storm Isaias. Am I getting anywhere close? Am I close? Am I close? I hope I'm close. Hannah, says Jaws Matt. Hurricane Hannah. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that went right to... That's the one that went through Boca Chica. Sebby says, how would we know how it's pronounced? I don't know. I just figured you guys were tuned in better than I was. Because I was apparently not tuned in at all. Yeah, so, I mean, basically what we're looking for at this point is... You're looking to see if there's any personnel that would come back, or if they start opening the road back up. Let's see, where is this being streamed? The one that we're looking at right now, this is Lab Padre. All of it's in Boca Chica, Texas. So this is Lab Padre's stream. We've got South Padre, and we've got NASAspaceflight.com that we had up and we were watching. This one, the Lab Padre one, is a little closer up here. Yeah, we're getting a lot more venting here now, so it's possible that we could see a recycle here. We do have about 50 minutes left in the window today. So we're launching silos now. How many farmers out there got silos that are going to be launched? It does look like a grain silo, doesn't it? Just think, this is going to be the most advanced spacecraft that has ever flown at some point. Because this is going to take people to Mars. I know it looks a little... you know, maybe it looks a little rickety now, but they're working on it. They're developing it. It's getting there. It's going to take people to Mars. How does NASA spaceflight know it's been aborted? Well, one, the biggest indicator was the 10-minute siren was 25 minutes ago. So, 25 minutes ago, the 10-minute siren went off, and after 10 minutes, it didn't launch. So there's number one. That's how we know it's been aborted. But number two is generally based on the venting activity, which I'm going to be honest, I don't watch these closely enough to be able to recognize the venting activity myself. But generally, they're watching the venting. So they're keeping an eye on how much is venting, where it's coming out, and you know that's how you pay attention to... That's really the only indicator how this is working, is to watch the venting. You're watching the venting from the vehicle itself. You're watching the venting from the tank farm as well. That's all the white tanks that are on that far side over there. All those white tanks, you're looking to see venting. How did they manage to turn a water tower into a rocket? Well, it wasn't a water tower. It was built as a rocket. I mean, this was built from scratch. So it has fuel tanks and bulkheads in it. It's not your average water tower. It was built from scratch and meant to be a rocket. So it's got plumbing, it's got computers, it's got fuel tanks and bulkheads and all that kind of stuff in there. So it's not a water tower that was turned into a spacecraft. It's a spacecraft that looks like a grain silo or a water tower. Piff Monster says there should be a large amount of venting on the lower left side, then boom. All right. We're going to keep an eye on that. So the other thing that we'd keep an eye on would be like roadblocks. If they have roadblocks that are up right now, and if they start tearing down those roadblocks, then you're not going to have a launch. At least not today, because there's only 50 minutes left in the window today. Why the countdown hold? We really don't know why. But this is an experimental system, so something went wrong, which is why they didn't launch. So something clearly didn't go right. Question is, what was it? We don't know. We don't know what went wrong. We don't know if it's something simple. So I'm hearing from one of the streams that the SpaceX personnel that were standing by to watch have left, which is not a good sign. But we've still got still a little more than 45 minutes. Biggest thing we'll probably keep an eye on is like the tank farm area to see if it starts venting more. The tank farm starts venting a little bit more and you see some more activity in the tank farm area, then they may be trying again. But there's not much time left in the window, only about 45 minutes. And what I started saying is it really depends on what the problem was. Like, is it an easy problem to fix? If it's an easy problem to fix, then, you know, it could be something like they had a overpressurization or the fuel warmed up too much and they'd have to put in more, you know, colder fuel, vent some off, put in colder fuel. Those are simpler problems to fix because you just got to adjust your time and get your fueling process corrected. But there's also more complicated problems like a valve doesn't work or, you know, your engine's not pre-chilling prior to ignition, any of that kind of stuff where you got to drain the whole thing and go replace something or fix something. So those are all the kind of things that can go wrong. So the next attempt for this would be tomorrow. If it's around, it depends on what time it would be. I mean, I'm going to keep an eye on it all day tomorrow, but if it is at a decent time tomorrow, then we may stream again. So this is why I tell you all my streams to subscribe and turn on notifications, because like today it was like, oh, we're going live in 5 minutes. And that's why you don't want to miss it. That's why you got to turn on those notifications and subscribe, especially on the YouTube side. Was there movement or a flash under the tank just before abort? I did not see one. Let's back it up. Let's take a look at... Let's see, how far back do we need to go? Probably about 20 minutes. Probably, maybe a little bit more of that. Yeah, so you can kind of get an idea. Let's see, back it up just a touch. Got a lot of venting happen. This was earlier. I don't remember seeing any flashes. Did they abort again? Yeah, as far as we know, we're in a holding pattern, but it sounds like it could be an abort. We're waiting to find out. Let me put this one back to live here. Watch the Lab Padre side of things live. Yeah, so it may be tomorrow. If it is tomorrow, it's a huge window. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, which is, what does that work out to be universal? That's, what is that, 1300 to 1300 to 0100 universal? Is that right? Did I do that math right? Hate doing that in my head. Can someone explain to me why it's not cone-shaped? I don't understand. It's only going to 150 meters, so it's not going very fast, and it doesn't need a lot of aerodynamic protection. So that's generally what the cone is for aerodynamic protection. When it's going super fast through thick parts of the atmosphere, you need that cone shape. This is only going to 150 meters, which is around 500 feet-ish. That's as high as it's going to go. Not very high, but it'll be its first free flight. So it's only going to 500 meters. It's going to be nice and slow moving. It's got a mass simulator up top. The mass simulator simulates the weight of the nose cone that you would have up top. But yeah, you don't really need that pointy nose cone because you're not going fast. You don't have to protect from aerodynamic forces, really. It's going so slowly that's not a big deal. It was the same thing with Starhopper. Starhopper didn't really have a pointy top either. It had, well, I take that back. It had a pointy top. It blew over and was damaged in the storm, and they were like, well, we're not going to build it. There's no point. But you can see the Starhopper right here in the center there. It does have a dome shape, but that dome shape is just the top bulkhead of one of the fuel tanks there. It's not really meant for aerodynamics. That just happens to be the top of the fuel tank. And Starship has that as well, too. You can see below the boxy white mass simulator up on top. Right below that is the top of the fuel dome there. Will it land without fins and landing gear? It does have a landing gear. We just can't see it. It's tucked up under the skirt. It will be landing without fins, though. It's just going to use engine gimbaling and thrusters to maneuver. This is using the Raptor engine. Yeah, there's one Raptor engine on board here. When is it going to happen? Well, we don't know. It was almost going to happen about 30 minutes ago, and then they aborted. So we're going to see if anything comes of this. It could be a big nothing for today, but they were really close. Elon, so close that Elon tweeted out. He said about an hour ago, he said, we're going to give it a shot in 30 minutes. And obviously, that didn't happen. So now we're just seeing if they are going to recycle, or are they going to be done for today? They tried this very late in the window today, because their window only goes for another 40 minutes. Is this the Mars craft that they are launching? Yeah, this is it's a prototype development vehicle that is what they're leading up to their orbital vehicles and eventually their crew-rated vehicles for Starship that will fly to the moon and to Mars. It's intended to take astronauts to the moon and Mars. Not this particular one in general. This is a prototype, meaning this is being used for testing purposes. They have other prototypes coming, but it's like full-scale prototype. Like this is it. This is what it's going to roughly look like. They might make it look a little bit prettier, but they might not. Like this may be what it looks like. It may be, when I say prettier, I'm talking about like the rings that you see on it and stuff like that. Like that may be permanent. It's like, it's a very unconventional looking spacecraft, but if it gets the job done, who cares? Are they, let's see, not enough time to reload, so guessing tomorrow afternoon. Well, we do still have some time. It's only 8:20. We've got 40 minutes to go. It's still possible. Yeah, what they're trying to do is determine whether they can have as Gregorius says, they're trying to determine whether they can have stable flight. That's why it's only going to 150 meters. They want to make sure that they can control this thing. So they'll go to 150 meters, then the next one will go higher, and then higher after that. And that's kind of the workup for this vehicle. It'll continually work up until they're confident that they can control this. So we got nothing happening here right now. Does Goddard Space Center in Maryland have a hand with this project? No, this is all this is SpaceX. This is all SpaceX development. Is that a rocket? Yep, that's a rocket. That is the Starship. It's a prototype. The Star eventually. Let's pull it up because I feel like a lot of people don't know what this is supposed to look like. So let me pull up an image so you can get an idea on what this is going to look like in the end here. Let's see, where is it? Let's get a. Here you go. So this is what what it's going to look like here. That was a fully built. That was the first Starship there that they built, which eventually exploded. But that's what it's going to look like. So you can get an idea. So you see the nose cone there. You see the fins that are on the aerodynamic surfaces. The fins that are on the side. That's what we're looking at here. Except we're just seeing the cylinder part. So oops, that's. Wow, it's like Inception. You're seeing all my OBS. That's not what we want. We want this. So that's what we're looking at here, roughly. The nose part still exists. Yeah, they are building the nose. Still looks like a water tower. Yeah, a lot of people call it a grain silo, but yeah, grain silo, water tower. Why no official word yet? Because this is not a public event at all. SpaceX is actually not publicizing this. It just happens to be out in the open, and people are recording it. So this is Lab Padre. He's got a YouTube channel. It's pretty awesome. I would definitely recommend going over there and subscribing to Lab Padre. We also looked at NASAspaceflight.com. This is their YouTube channel. So definitely subscribe to them and check that out as well. That's from Mary, the Boca Chica gal, that's providing their video. Lab Padre lives down there, so he does this video here. Is it going to be painted? I don't believe so. I don't think it's going to be painted. I think it's going to be stainless steel. I think you're just going to see it as is. Did it hop? Nope, not yet. We're on hold. Wouldn't it be smart to have the atmospheric control surfaces in a suborbital flight? Yes. When they get a little bit higher, they'll likely put those control surfaces, the fins, they'll put those on when they do like the 20-kilometer flight that they're planning on. That will have the fins on board. But this 150-meter hop, which is only like 500 feet, there you go. There's your road closure. Question is, are they going to open that road closure or not? Right now, they still got it blocked off. I mean, which would be normal because they're still venting, so like it's not completely safe yet. Why are the storage tanks in the blast radius not so genius? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have questioned that. The idea is that they're going to try not to blow it up, but they actually have blown it up a bunch of times, and it really hasn't been that big of a deal. Let's see what else we had here. Painting adds unnecessary weight. Yep, good point from Johnny O. Painting is weight. And why are you painting it? Just so it looks pretty? Who cares? Why was Starhopper retired? Starhopper was just a proof of concept. All they had to do, they're done with it. They had to make sure that they could build a stainless steel vehicle and then launch it and fly it, which was great. But Starhopper was very heavy, a lot thicker stainless steel. the Starship prototype's much thinner, and this is where they're building the full size. I mean, they just don't have a use for Starhopper anymore. Starhopper did what it needed. There's Starhopper right there. Starhopper did what it needed to do. It was great, but they're done with it. They don't need it anymore. Painting gives modelers something to do. Yeah. Yeah, and again, Jason Ellingson brings up a good point there too. Says you can't paint it. It's made of the same steel as Cybertruck. Yeah, I don't know how that would work with trying to paint that stainless steel there. Is this prototype for the one that goes to Mars? Yes, that's the idea. This is a prototype that will go to take astronauts to the moon and to Mars. How long till launch? We don't know. They aborted about 35 minutes ago, and we're waiting to see if they'll try again. They have 35 minutes left in the window today. After that, they've got their FAA NOTAM expires in 35 minutes. And the test flight today is not very long. It's only, a minute or two, 90 seconds or so. It's not a real long test flight. So, I mean, they could go almost all the way up until 9 p.m. Eastern. And that wouldn't be a big deal. Where are the landing feet? The landing legs are tucked underneath and inside. So the bottom of that rocket is open. It is a cylinder, but it's open underneath, and that's where the engine sits in there. It's tucked underneath, and the landing legs are on the inside walls of that bottom section there. Why don't they disassemble Starhopper and use its stainless steel? The Starship has different stainless steel than Starhopper had. It's one of the things that they learned and they redeveloped, so it's actually not the same stainless steel, and Starhopper was a much thicker steel that's too heavy for Starship. It was a proof of concept, but it was too heavy. So they had to move on to a thinner alloy there, and so the alloy stainless steel that's on the Starhopper, no good for Starship. Can you explain what's in the rocket to create the explosion for launch? Well, you've got your fuel. So you've got your actual fuel itself, which is methane, liquid methane, and then you have an oxidizer, which is liquid oxygen. You've got turbo pumps that will flow them into the combustion chamber, and you've got an ignition source, which I believe for Raptor is like little mini blowtorches that will ignite the engine. And then once you ignite the engine, as long as you keep flowing fuel rapidly into the combustion chamber, then you're going. Flux capacitor on top, that's a mass simulator, that white thing up on top. It's to simulate the mass of the nose cone that's not there. The nose cone and the control fins. Will they try again tomorrow? Yes, that will be the idea. They'll try again tomorrow if they don't go within the next 30 minutes here. Starhopper is now storage, says Philip on Facebook. Yeah, it's storage. It's also, they're kind of using it as like a mast too. They have a whole bunch of cameras mounted to it now. Like they're using it has a utilitarian purpose now. Like they're actually using it, which is kind of weird. But yeah, they have a whole bunch of cameras on the side of Starhopper now. This the big grain silo. Yeah, that big thing in the middle. That's the rocket that's going to take off. Maybe. We only got about 30 minutes left. How can they stabilize SN5 before landing if it's flying off axis? So they're going to use engine gimbaling and thrusters to stabilize it. So they've got thrusters on board that they can use, and they can gimbal the engine to control it. So those are their two methods for controlling it. How many people would fit in this? Eventually, it's supposed to hold up to 100 people. We're not really sure what the passenger compartment would look like at this point, but it said it could potentially hold up to 100 people at one time, which is crazy. I mean, this thing is going to be huge. It's really hard to gauge how big that actually is, but it's supposed to hold up to 100 people. Andy on Facebook keeps asking me if he's blocked. You're not blocked, Andy. I still see all your messages. If I missed a question, sorry. I got a lot. Don't forget, I'm multicasting on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch all at the same time. So I got a lot of chat that flies by. Sometimes I miss them. If I missed it, just ask again. I'll see it eventually. Where is this thing? This is Boca Chica, Texas. Down right on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Pretty much exactly where Hurricane Hannah went just a couple of weeks ago. Are you going to cover this tomorrow? It really depends on what time it is. It's so unknown and so up in the air that it just depends on what time. That's why I tell you guys to subscribe and hit the notifications, because like today, I went live, I sent a notification and I went live within 5 minutes. So it's a very quick turnaround, especially for something like this, because you just don't know. You have no idea. Why aren't you wearing a mask? I'm in my studio. I'm by myself. There's literally nobody here. I'm in a giant building all by myself. I have a pretty cool NASA mask, actually. How are they saving so much money with Starship compared to Falcon 9? It's not really about saving money. It's a whole different purpose. Falcon 9 can't get people to Mars or to the moon. This can. This is a much bigger vehicle, much stronger engines, much more thrust, a lot more engines just in general. It's also using methane fuel so that when you go to Mars, you can make methane on Mars and bring it back, versus Falcon 9, which uses kerosene. Can't really make that so easily on Mars. So they can make methane on Mars. So you could fly all the way to Mars with Starship, have a completely empty tank, theoretically someday have some sort of fuel farm there where you're actually making methane, making liquid oxygen, put it back into the empty Starship, fly it back home. Can't do that with Falcon 9. Falcon 9 uses kerosene and liquid oxygen. It's also not powerful enough to get to Mars. Falcon Heavy is, but it's also doesn't have a huge payload capacity for Falcon Heavy. What part of the design was tougher to achieve to reuse rockets, the software or the hardware? I imagine, I don't officially know the answer to that, but my guess would be the software, because the hardware is pretty much unchanged. I mean, there's a little bit of changes. Obviously, you have landing legs for Falcon 9 that you didn't have before. You've got the grid fins that you didn't have. You've got some like plumbing we saw in CRS 16 where the hydraulics for one of the grid fins locked up, and so that's kind of a hardware issue. But a lot of it is software and planning. It's like when to burn your engines, because the Falcon 9 does something really cool, which is called the hover slam, which is basically they fire the engines and they have to time it perfectly so that they hit zero velocity at zero altitude. Like, it doesn't hover. The Falcon 9 can't hover like the Blue Origin New Shepard can. The Blue Origin New Shepard kind of comes down and then it can hover there for a minute, and then it's like, all right, I think I'm stable and I'll land. The Falcon 9 can't do that. Falcon 9 it's coming down one way or another. So it's coming down, and it has to time it perfectly so that it hits zero velocity at zero altitude, called the hover slam. Can I simulate this with a beer can? Sure, give it a shot. Just don't do anything dangerous. What fuels are used to burn? This is methane that it's using to burn, and liquid oxygen is the oxidizer. We got about 25 minutes left in this window. We don't know if they're going to do it again. When will they get this back underway? You have no idea, Tyson. Your guess is as good as mine. That's the downside about watching Starship, is you have no idea. It could be never. This could be a giant nothing burger. But in 25 minutes from now, we could get to the end and I could say, hey, thanks, this was nothing, but thanks for coming. Where did you get your NASA mask? I got it from the Space Shop, I think. The spaceshop.com. It's kind of cool. I love it, actually. Really nice quality, too. Why don't they upgrade the ISS to move to lunar orbit? Well, they're still using it in low Earth orbits. I think they're going to use the Lunar Gateway is going to be the ISS of lunar orbit. So they're planning something similar. It's just going to be a different thing. They're not going to actually take the ISS and fly it to lunar orbit. That would take a lot of energy to try to do that. But they're gonna build the Lunar Gateway, which will be pretty much the same kind of idea. Is Falcon Heavy powerful enough to reach Pluto? I don't know about Pluto. Maybe. It probably depends on what the payload is, but I know when they did their demonstration mission with the Tesla, which was a relatively light payload, that first flight, it got just past Mars orbit. So it was nowhere near Pluto. Do you think I will live on Mars in my lifetime? I'm still young. Well, I don't know how old young is, but potentially. I mean, I think you'd have to get an astronaut program, but we could have astronauts on Mars within 10 or 15 years if we try. When's the Gateway expected to deploy? It's probably not going to be until like 2025 maybe, when they first start building the Gateway. Originally, they were supposed to build it in like 2023, 2024, but it sounds like that's not going to happen, so it's probably going to be 2025, 2026, somewhere in there. And then you can read into that on whether or not you think NASA will be on time with that. Just looked it up. It won't get painted. This will get too hot and burn off. It'll be chrome stained. Yeah, we pretty much knew that it wasn't. It's definitely not going to be painted. My only question was, are they going to smooth the rings out? But I'm kind of thinking no. I don't know enough about welding as to how that process works and whether or not they'll be able to smooth the rings out. I mean, they may not be able to smooth them out at all. So will this be the ship that will colonize the moon? Potentially. NASA's actually considering the Starship as one of their lunar landers. It's one of 3 potential candidates for lunar landers. So this is one of those potential candidates for the Moon 2024 mission that might land astronauts on the surface of the moon. But we don't know. They haven't selected a final candidate yet. Starship have any deflectors? If not, what happens if they hit a rock in space? I don't believe it's going to have any sort of deflectors. I mean, that would just be a really bad day if it hits a rock in space. I think they're going to try to not do that. Is that metallic box going to fly 150 meters and then land again? Yeah, that's the idea. Emil? Sorry if I screwed your name up. Is it definitely scrubbed for today? Nothing's definite with Starship until about 20 minutes from now. It'll be definitely scrubbed for today. So right now it's a hold, which is why I got it saying hold instead of scrubbed. Still up in the air. We're waiting to see if we see any the tank farm venting. Can they terminate the flight mid-air in case the rocket goes off course? I don't know if they put an automated flight termination system on the prototype, but SpaceX is known for their automated flight termination system. They're actually they're the only company, I think, that has an automated flight termination system that goes orbital. So, and it's on the Falcon 9. So they may have automated flight termination system on Starship as well, but I don't know if they've officially told us whether they installed it or not. But SpaceX has that capability. I'm pretty sure they would have to have some sort of termination system just to meet FAA requirements. So the question is whether it's automated or manually triggered. is really the big question. So I'm sure they have some method of terminating it. Pretty sure that's an FAA requirement just to get a flight permit. But whether it's manual or automated is the question. Will Spaceship have heat tiles? I believe they said that they were going to do that. I can't remember where Elon left that, but they've tested heat tiles on the Starhopper, and I believe those are the heat tiles that would be on the... I always get this screwed up. The windward side? Leeward side? What is it called? The front side, the belly that comes into the atmosphere. Leeward? Windward? What's the right term there? Anyway, it's going to be on the belly that crashes into the atmosphere. So, yeah, I do believe it will have heat shields. They're like octagonal patterns that like pop on little tiny tiles, kind of like the space shuttle, but they're supposed to be much better than the space shuttle tiles. Windward. Thanks. That made more sense. Windward to me. Facing the wind. Is the ship environmentally friendly? Meaning, can it have negative impacts on the environment? I believe it's much more environmentally friendly than kerosene is. Isn't the byproduct of methane and liquid oxygen like... Somebody correct me on this, but the byproduct of methane and liquid oxygen is... Byproduct of methane combustion. Isn't it like... So yeah, CO2 and water. Burns a blue flame. Insufficient amounts of oxygen. Methane burns to give off carbon dioxide and water. So yeah, it's not really... I mean, yeah, it's giving off carbon dioxide, but... It's not too bad. There you go. Now everybody's correcting me. I knew it was something... I wanted to say it was like oxygen and water, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, CO2 and water. Is the landing gear as wide as the tube, or does it extract further out so it makes more stable platform? They're like straight legs. There's like 6 or 8 of them around the inside, on the inside wall of the bottom there. So the bottom is like an open skirt. There's an opening at the bottom where the engine sits, and the landing legs are on the inside of that wall. And there's like 6 or 8 of them on the outside, and they're straight landing legs. How long until launch? We don't know, Eric. It could be it could be 20 minutes. It might not happen at all. Methane could be made from CO2 and water with solar energy, but right now it's a fossil fuel and it's not carbon neutral. That's from Steve. Would a capsule ever land on a drone ship like the Falcon 9? Not the Crew Dragon. The Crew Dragon will always be... It's always going to be a water landing. They got no plans to change that. How do they transport the ship? They literally just, like, drive it down the road, which is kind of crazy. So they just load it on a trailer and drive it down the road. Can the prototype withstand bird strikes? I hope it would be able to withstand at least a small bird strike when it comes to launching. But really, it's not really this prototype, because you're not really going to have a bird strike on the sides of a rocket. It would really be the nose cone that would have to sustain a bird strike of some sort. And I have a feeling that it would go through a bird like a mosquito. So I don't think that would be much of a cause for concern. Will you be streaming Falcon 9 on the 6th? Yeah, I'm planning to, except it's like 1 o'clock in the morning my time, so it's going to be so early in the morning. But yeah, we'll probably stream the Starlink launch, which is on the 6th. I think it's like 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, which is way too early. But we'll do it if it holds. Did you guys check out my my video that I just put out like an hour ago on the boaters? What do you guys think of the boaters? Are you with me, or am I being too critical of the boaters? Hold on, I'm listening. Yep, so we've got, looks like we've got an abort here. It's gonna be scrubbed for the day, so it sounds like a turbo pump didn't come on. But it just, let's see, give me 1 second. From Elon, scrubbed for the day, a Raptor turbo pump spin start valve didn't open, triggering an automatic abort. We'll figure out why, and we'll retry tomorrow. So that's it. That's, we're scrubbed for today. Scrubbed here. So it's not happening today. We got to the siren. We didn't get liftoff. The Raptor turbo pump spin start valve. We're getting deep in the weeds here now. A Raptor turbo pump spin start valve didn't open. So it's going to be one of the fuel valves that helps start up the turbo pump. They start flowing fuel in to get the turbo pump spinning before they start sending the fuel to the actual engine. So it says that spin start valve didn't open, which would be an auto abort. They got to figure out why. So that's one of those more complicated abort reasons that I was talking about, so that they gotta detank all the fuel and try again. But they're gonna try again tomorrow. The window is like all day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, 1300 to 0100 UTC, and they will. It'll be a very short notification if it happens tomorrow. So that's why, like I said, you subscribe, you turn on the notifications, and you'll know. Because if we're going, you're only going to get about a 5-minute notification that it's happening. You could also join the Discord. Everybody's been talking about it in our Discord channel today, which is actually how I was following along, because I was doing some other stuff today, and I think it was GVA Morning Show. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but GVA tagged me on Discord, was like, "It's happening!" I was like, "Oh, all right, here we go." So, thanks, GVA. I'm pretty sure that was GVA. Might have been Sebi, or maybe Gregorius. I don't know who it was. Somebody tagged me on Discord. I just looked at it quick, because I saw... Yeah, it was GVA. GVA just said, "It's happening!" I was like, "Oh, okay." So type ! Discord in the YouTube chat. You can get yourself a link, and you can follow along with the rest of the Discord people that were chatting it up today. Yep, so as Jay said, Elon just tweeted abort. We did have an abort. It has been canceled. Let's see. I don't think they had a problem with the boats during Apollo launch. I think the USSR did have some shit. Yeah, so this is... we'll go back. We'll talk about the boats. If you haven't seen it, I put a video out about maybe 2 hours ago or so about all the boats and stuff. But, yeah, the interesting thing about Apollo to keep in mind is that they... Well, first of all, it's a whole different world. Like, we didn't have social media and all that kind of stuff then. But the Apollo recoveries were way offshore. Like, I think Apollo 11 was like 1,000 miles west of Hawaii or something like that. So you're not taking a speedboat from Hawaii out to that recovery zone. It's just not happening. But this was only 20 nautical miles off of Florida, well within range. And with the age of social media, like we know where the note Mars are being published. Not only that, like, I heard that people were just following the boat, like, Go Navigator left shore, and people were like, "All right, we're coming with you. Wait for me. We're coming." And so, like, people just followed the boat out there. Like, the ship itself is not so intimidating. Like, when you had the Apollo recovery, it was like an aircraft carrier or something that was out there. Like, I don't think some dude in a speedboat is like... He's like, "Meep, meep, I'm coming too." He's not doing that to an aircraft carrier. It's a little more intimidating. But, yeah, so it's a whole different world, and that's... Some of the issue is the whole reusability. Like, they want to land close to shore, so it's easier to recover and refurbish and all that kind of stuff, but being that close to shore, it's also easier for people to go out and watch, which is not necessarily a terrible thing. Like, it would be kind of cool for people to be able to watch. It's just, how do we allow that to happen safely? Like, there's a guy that, like, literally drove right up and was like, looked like he was 20 or 30 feet away from it. Like, it looked like he was taking video through the window at Bob and Doug, like waving to him in there. That's too close. And a lot of people say maybe it was a telephoto lens. I don't know about that. I think it was too close. But that's just my thoughts. Are you aware of the Bitcoin scam going on right now? I'm not aware of one right now, but it doesn't surprise me. There have been a whole bunch of Bitcoin scams with SpaceX stuff over the last, like 2 months. So it doesn't entirely surprise me. Let's see. Before we wrap up, we'll just check a couple more things. What did we miss? Are you an astronaut? Nope, not an astronaut. Yeah, spin, turbo pump, scrub for today. Turbo pump, spin start valve, failed to open. That's the problem with today. So, all right, everybody. Well, that's gonna be it for me. I think I'm gonna wrap up here for the day. And I'm sorry that it was a big nothing. I told you it could be a big nothing. We just didn't know. We didn't know if it was gonna happen. But today, it's a big nothing. We tried. They're going to try again tomorrow. And if you're subscribed and you've got the notifications turned on, then you might get a notification. And when you do, I would jump in a hurry because it's probably only going to be like a 5-minute notification. So before we go live. So that's the idea. But yeah, jump in the Discord, chat it up with everybody, subscribe, and we'll be back to try it another day. All right. Well, thanks for chatting it up with me at least. And it was nice to see everybody again 2 days in a row. This is getting a lot of fun. All right, my name's Tori. This is Overlook Horizon. I'll see you guys next time. All right, goodbye. Have a good night.